I will say that will I say it? Clearly I can't. Let's do it. Hello, my name is Katrina. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to Moonbelly Makes, where I share all the things I love to do, from crafting to cooking to baking. And today is a baking day, and today I am going to do the next installment of my project that goes by many names, starting with Bake Along with Bake Off, or Katrina's Great British Baking Project, where I bake along to all of the recipes from the Great British Baking Show. For more details about the project, I've linked the description below. It will take you to my blog where you can read all about it, but the short version is that I am really inspired by all of the bakes that they do on the show, and I want to learn to become a better baker. And they look delicious. There's a different theme for every week on the show, and this week's theme is Biscuit Week. Biscuit being what a snappy cookie is, like a kind of crunchier cookie rather than like a soft, chewy cookie. Today I'm going to be doing the showstopper challenge, which is the big one that they do at the end, and it was to make a board game out of cookies. Biscuit Board Game. So here are the rules, and I'm not going to follow all of them, and I'll tell you why. I'm actually doing a lot of things weird this time, but I have my reasons. So it had to be 40 centimeters diameter minimum. Mine is not going to be quite that big. It needs to have 8 elements at least. I think mine will have 8 elements. Oh no, mine's going to have 6. That's okay. Any flavor or type of biscuit must be playable and edible, and they had 3.5 hours to do it. I'm gonna let myself take as much time as I need because I am also my own production crew, and it just takes a little longer when you're doing that as well. At the end, I'm gonna rate myself. I'm gonna rate the recipe and the bake and also how well I did, so stick around for that. The judges were very concerned about 3 things. They were very concerned about neatness and like tidiness. They wanted it to like look really well decorated. They also wanted the flavors to be robust. They really wanted to be able to taste the flavors. Duh. And they wanted the biscuits to be strong enough that they didn't just like crumble apart, but not so dry that they were hard to eat. So here's my somewhat spicy take about this episode. I think they did not have enough time. I think that most of them didn't do very well, and I think it's because there just wasn't enough time. I think they were really incredible bakers on this show, and the fact that most of them really struggled with this means that they were being asked to do too much in the time. So I'm taking a ton of inspiration from Kate's bake. I'm taking her flavors and her idea, but I am going to decorate it completely my own way. I don't really know why. Maybe it's like a legal thing, but her board didn't look anything like it does in the movie. And I actually hadn't seen the movie. I watched it last week, and so now I was watching it and I was like, her board looks nothing like the one in the movie. So I'm kind of going more in the direction of how it's done in the movie, so I kind of changed some things, but I'm going with her flavors because they sounded really good, which was the main reason why I chose this. I did a little bit of stuff yesterday. I started out by making some stencils for all of the pieces, all of the parts, and the board as well. Just got everything kind of set up and meased out. Got everything weighed out and measured that I could. I gotta be honest, I'm a little nervous about this one. I'm trying a lot of new baking techniques in this that I have never done before, and some things that like probably shouldn't be techniques. We'll see. So I have a little bit of nerves, but luckily not a lot of pressure here, so let's see how it goes.
If you've seen the movie Jumanji, you know that the movie is about a magical board game, and that the center of the board is a circle of green glass that shares different ominous messages when the dice are rolled. I'm going to give credit where credit is due and say that Josh had the brilliant idea to make this circle out of Jell-O. Jell-O takes about 4 hours to set, so I wanted to get it going first. I followed the package instructions, hot water, then cold water, and poured it into a mold that I made out of a ring cutter and some heavy-duty foil. It immediately started leaking, so I made a stronger mold, and the second iteration was much more successful. Next, the fondant dice. Fondant is a melted marshmallow and powdered sugar concoction that is just kneaded together to create a moldable dough. I didn't follow a recipe for this. I just melted the marshies in the microwave, added a splash of water and a spoonful of sugar, and mixed together. Then, using my bench scraper, I shaped what I had into 2 cubes and got them chilling in the fridge as well.
How can I forget this? Can't be Star Baker without the apron. It's just not possible. Okay, so those 2 things are in the fridge. That's great. I'm gonna make the cookies for the pieces because the dough needs to chill. So I'm gonna start with that. It's just a basic sugar cookie recipe. It is from Sally's Baking Addiction. I'm just going to add the same flavoring that Kate did, which is orange and cardamom. Cardamom. I can never remember if it ends with a M or an N. This is a very old jar with very new cardamom in it. I saved my jars. The Spice House has the best spices. Not sponsored, although I'm open to it. Cookie time.
These cookies start by mixing the dries, which was flour, baking powder, and salt. I zested 2 oranges and added the zest to some granulated sugar and crushed it with my fingers to release as much fragrant orange oil from the zest as possible. Then I beat the sugar and some butter together with the help of my stand mixer, Art Vandelay. While that was going, I realized I had forgotten to put the cardamom in, so I made a wild guess as to amounts and decided on a full teaspoon. Then some vanilla and an egg joined the party, followed by the dries. Then I rolled the dough out on some floured parchment and got it chilling in the fridge.
Okay, that dough smells so good already. I think it's gonna be really delicious. I think the flavors, I feel like if I can smell them, we'll be able to taste them. It's my hope, but I think it'll work. Okay, so now I'm gonna work on the actual board. And I found a recipe for like cookie bars. I thought that would make the most sense. The reason I chose to do Kate's board game is not about Jumanji. I had never seen it before until last week. I don't have like an emotional connection to it. But what I did have feelings about were the fact that she made, for the board itself, she used lemon and then grains of paradise. So I purchased some grains of paradise, which I did not have. And I know very little about, other than one time when my brother and I went to the actual Spice House in our town. He got these because he's like very cool and he knows a lot about food. So he got these. And like, they kind of smell like a minerally water. Like, I don't know what they actually taste like, but they are related to cardamom, it says on here. They're sweet, spicy, but buttery with a hint of lavender and juniper. Mix them with black peppercorns as a seasoning or use them in peppermint cookies, which is kind of what we're doing. I just want to know what they taste like. And I don't know like how much to put in, so, okay. Cheers. They're good. I would not recommend, I wouldn't recommend eating them like that, but I do recommend eating them. They have a very interesting flavor. Kind of reminds me of like a Szechuan peppercorn, if you're familiar with those, but without the like tingliness. Like, they're not as strong as like a black peppercorn. Like, I think if I crunched on a black peppercorn just raw like that, I would be in a different state. They are very floral. I don't know how much to put in. I really want you to be able to taste it. Like, I'd rather it be like, well, it's a little too much than not enough, because these are expensive. And I want to be able to taste them. They're also cool. They're so cool. I'm going to grind these up in a mortar and pestle. I gave up on the mortar and pestle. I am going to use my pepper mill. It was starting to break them apart, but they were just like jumping everywhere and I was not able to control them. And I didn't want to lose them. Oh, that made a lot. Might not use all of this, but it smells really good. Josh said it smells like a candle. He's not wrong. Like, it smells like a blend of things, you know? It smells good. You should try these. These are good.
The construction of the second dough was very similar to the first. Flour, salt, grains of paradise, whisk. Lemon zest this time, crushed into the sugar. Butter and cream cheese, mixy mix, check the recipe. Lemony sugar, mixy mix, parchment paper on a sheet tray. Excitement, vanilla, egg, mixy mix. Dries, slow mix, and of course, sniff test.
I'm nervous it's not enough grains. I put in so much. Well, if they just taste like lemon, they'll still be delicious. But I really am only smelling the lemon. So it's a good thing I didn't put in more lemon like I was originally going to. All right, let's get these baked.
I had a very tricky time spreading out the dough because I had used 2 pieces of parchment and the overlap kept moving around. In hindsight, I should have just used 1 piece of parchment paper and not worried about it coming up the sides of the tray. I was struck in this moment by the fact that 5 simple words in a recipe, such as spread into an even layer, can be so time-consuming and challenging. I got it as smooth as possible, convinced that the dough would spread out and even out as it baked. And on this point, I was sorely mistaken. The dough didn't budge at all and came out of the oven with the exact same craggy shaping that it went in with. The other dough was quite chilled by this point, so I used my stencils and a little cake decorating knife to cut out the cookies for the pieces. I cut 2 of each just in case something went wrong along the way. While everything baked, I started on the American buttercream for the board itself. I started by smoothing out some butter before adding a ton of sifted powdered sugar. While it whipped up, I added vanilla and salt, and then it was done. That one was easy. I slid the board off the tray and trimmed the edges. Then I dumped on all the frosting and smoothed it as best as I could before putting the whole board into the fridge so that the frosting could chill and therefore harden. Then I moved on to the trickier of the cookie toppings, the royal icing for these pieces. This started with a whole bag of powdered sugar and then some meringue powder, which is a new ingredient for me, and a few tablespoons of water. Once it was the right consistency, I put a tiny bit in a dish with some green gel food coloring, added it to a piping bag, and started piping the green for the monkey pieces. Then gray for the elephants, black for the crocodiles, and yellow for the hippos.
All right, I am calling it for today. I've made a ton of progress and I feel like totally set up to conclude the project tomorrow. I'm just gonna let everything chill overnight so that it's ready to be painted. Just gonna pick back up tomorrow with a fresh mindset and fresh energy. Not that my mindset is bad or my energy is low, this is hard. I am feeling the pressure to make it look good. I will say that I tasted the edge of the board that I cut off and it tastes really good. So I'm on to something here. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. It's day 2. I'm gonna start by painting the pieces, I think. That's the vibe. I got this little, 8-piece cake decorating sugar chocolate, you know how they put all the SEO words on it. I mostly just wanted brushes, and then I saw this set that had all this other stuff in it too. It's a fun little set. You may know that I am not very comfortable painting or drawing, so
I put a little brown food coloring into a bowl, and using the tiniest brush and my trace of the piece for reference, I started painting on the details. I messed up this first rhino.
Oh my god.
And was very glad I had made backups in preparation for this exact eventuality. The second one came out much better, so I repeated the process on the following pieces, including the dice.
That is working shockingly well, and I'm going to try to continue the process on the board now.
I began the Jell-O unmolding process so that I could use the ring mold to mark the center of the board, and then laid out the template I made for the pathways. I used brown food coloring to mark the outlines and to make the spaces. The frosting was starting to get soft, so I put it back in the fridge to set up again while I used that little knife to scrape out a channel in the leaf-shaped cookies so that I could stand the animal figures in them. Then I spread green royal icing on the leaf bases and stuck the animal cookies into the channel. Once the icing dried, they were glued together and actually pretty sturdy. I used one of the bigger brushes to stencil the word Jumanji in the center of the board with black food coloring, and then it was time to pop it back in the fridge again.
It is working. The dice are almost done. Just have one more side, but they're looking very cute. It's very, very close to being done. Jell-O came out pretty good. I am very afraid of how I'm going to transfer it onto the board. I'll probably just go like that. Oh god, it's so scary. I do have this gold luster dust, and I think I might put it on the Jumanji on the words. I actually bought this and a purple one because in Kate's original version, she used these for some of the pieces, but since I'm not really following how she did it, I thought, oh, I guess I don't need those for this project, but I still think I should use it. It's so cool.
I mixed some green food coloring with a little water and started painting in the spots between the pathways. I repeated again with a slightly different shade of green and filled in any white spaces that were still showing through. And then I did it again with a third shade of green to really give it some dimension.
I'm not really sure what else to do design-wise. Looking at the pictures online of the board you can buy, it has like a gold background and little leaves, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to make it green in homage to Kate's original on the show. She just painted the whole thing like different colors of green, kind of like what I'm doing. And then I think we finally get to taste it. I think. Oh no, I have to put the Jell-O on. I have to put the Jell-O on. It's gonna be okay. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be just fine. Oh my god. I think the way that this kind of pulled off some of it actually makes it look similar to how it is in the movie. It has kind of a like cut glass kind of a vibe. So that's good. Can't read the Jumanji through it all that well, but it is there. I wish it was just a little more this way. That ain't happening. Here's an unexpected thing. The Jumanji underneath is just bleeding everywhere.
You could read it, and now you kind of can't. The only solution I could come up with was to use the stencil again on top of the Jell-O and just use the glitter instead of the food coloring as well. And then it was finally time to put it all together. I added the pieces to their corners, tossed in the dice, and there she is in all her glory. A Jumanji board game inspired by the movie, inspired by Kate the Baker on Great British Bake Off, made out of cookies. For the tasting and judging of this project, please welcome our guest judge, all the way from his home office adjacent to the kitchen. It's Josh.
I'm gonna get sucked into the game.
I know, I'm scared.
We should like play the game.
Okay. And they have to go like.
And then the pieces slowly move.
And then the pieces go.
This will not be an easy mission. Monkeys slow the expedition.
Oh, and I picked the monkey piece. Perfect. Why is my hand doing this? I'm so nervous.
Because you're terrified, as you should be.
Okay. Which piece do you want to eat?
Elephant.
Take it. I'm gonna go rhino. So these are orange and cardamom.
This one good.
Cheers. Cheers.
It's a delicious board game.
Okay, should we try the board?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are grains of paradise and lemon.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's
have
grains of
butter.
paradise?
They're like a spice.
I wonder how this Jell-O's gonna go with everything.
Well, you know what I was thinking? There's orange in the pieces, and there's lemon in the board. So that's lime.
So much citrus.
So much citrus.
I
think that the icing on this one or the frosting on this one kind of is so vanilla-y. It's kind of all I'm tasting. I don't really taste the cookie that much.
don't know. I think it's really good.
It's
I'm
delicious.
a little sad about the Jell-O situation. It's pretty wobbly. You had it.
I know, it looked so good.
Kind of sad, but also nice improvisation.
Thank you.
Should I taste one of these dice? Oh, it's a marshmallow.
Yeah.
When'd you do it?
I put powdered sugar in it so it was more moldable. But it's nothing. Okay, I have to rate myself. 1 out of 10 for my execution, and 1 out of 10 for the likelihood to bake these things again. I feel like my what would you rate me? My execution. Start with that. Like, how well did I do?
Execution, I think it's
Be
like
honest.
Honestly, I would say like an 8.5 or a 9. The only thing that I feel like I'm missing is the wetness protection or something, because that's the only thing that kind of got messed up. But would I bake it again? Like a 1? Like, what are you gonna make Jumanji again?
Okay, well let's go. Let's go based on the flavors. Like, would you want to eat these cookies again? Like,
That
okay.
way, 10. 10 for the flavors, because
10
it's
for the
really
flavors.
tasty.
Yeah, 10 for the flavors, and the recipes were really good. Would do again, just not in a board game form. Not making the Jell-O again.
No. Okay, you can say it as this cute little bear.
It's supposed to be a mean rhino. Execution, I feel like in terms of like the baking, like I think I nailed it. I think that the frosting's good. I think that I made royal icing for the first time. I think that the cookies came out really delicious. So I would give myself a 10 in terms of execution. In terms of like what it looks like, not that great.
Really?
Like a 6 maybe? Maybe that's too mean.
I think it's mean.
I think it's mean.
I think this is really hard to do, and I think this is really good. I think...
Okay, so if we overall mix, like I didn't do so good on what it looks like, but I did pretty good on how it tastes.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it. I'll do 8.
8.
Thanks for your support. Thanks for making me watch the movie so I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, just a lot more dramatic than I remember it.
It's scary. Well, pretty successful, I'd say. Definitely learned a lot. Definitely really proud of myself for making royal icing for the first time quite successfully. Now I just need to figure out how to like put it on things in a prettier way, but I made it well, so that's good. The consistency was good. But yeah, this was a fun one. I feel like I'm getting a little calmer in this process, which is good for everyone in this house and hopefully a little bit more enjoyable to watch. So for the written story of this project and also links to all of the recipes that I used, you can head to my blog. I also have it linked in the description for you below. And on the blog and also here on YouTube, you can find more of my Great British Baking Project, more cooking, my own recipes, and then also DIY and crafting things. So to stay up to date about what's going on here in Moonbelly world, you can also find me on Instagram or join the newsletter. I've really been enjoying writing the newsletter, and if you think you might enjoy it, you can sign up for that in the description box as well. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!